remarks? Not to put you on the spot, but
No, I guess I don't have any, but I would say thank you everybody for being here. Today we've got some important topics to go over and some very expert and well-informed speakers to give us information. I'm looking forward to the meeting. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving and looking forward to the holiday season. That's about it.
thanks, Greg. All right. With that, we're going to go through the agency updates next, and then we'll do committee updates. I mentioned earlier that Charles Hilton wasn't going to be able to join us, most likely. He did call, let me know that. So he will not be online to talk about 235F. I asked him who should hop in his stead. He said Jim Gill or Dave Avaka. So if either one of you feel prepared to talk a little bit about that 235F presentation, I'm going to ask you to hop in. If not, we'll put it to the floor for volunteers. After that, if we need to, we'll take a short break, but we've been in the habit of not necessarily needing to do that. We'll go read some public comments afterwards. We'll close a few recommendations, and then we'll adjourn for the day. So it should be pretty quick, all things considered. Up next will be the agency updates, and we'll start with DOE. Mr. Budney, do you have any remarks for today?
Pretty brief though, Jim. We don't have a lot since Thomas talked to everybody at the end of October, but we continue to get COVID cases about the rate that the general population around the CSRA gets them. So we're somewhere north of 700 now, and vast majority return to work. But as you all know, it's pretty challenging. If you happen to be one of those over 700 who got the virus, it's a pretty challenging illness. But based on the holidays coming up, we've instituted some extra telework. All the contractors are trying to maximize that as we are at DOE. Also offering some expanding testing availability, especially if anybody should travel out of town or see people they haven't seen in a while. Any kind of situation like that, we've got some extra testing they can sign up for. So if they have to come in, we'll get them tested right away. Otherwise, we're asking them, if they do travel, to quarantine for 14 days before they come back in. If they need to come back in, we'll get them a test. So that's kind of the COVID update. They're still staying in phase one, the surge we're seeing throughout the state. Operationally, not much to update there. Everything's going pretty well. We have successfully, one thing is, since we last talked to you, we have successfully processed through SWPF undiluted waste from the tank farms. So we checked it out at its normal operational capability, and it's all worked well. There were a couple minor pump issues that occurred in the past. They were not terribly significant. We've got additional spare pumps under procurement. And so we continue making good progress on SWPF. All of it's working well, and it's processing the waste per design, so we can send it to DWPF and Saltstone. Advanced Manufacturing Collaborative, still working that one, working through some OMB questions regarding the lease. And as you know, we put out an RFI, Thomas had mentioned, I think, in his last talk with you. Still working the process there so we can get a contract let to build the AMC. And our other contracts, we should be getting close to the site security contract award. We are getting close to awarding the national lab. The team remains on track to make an award in the near future. Liquid waste contract, there are proposals for that based on the RFP we put out on the 1st of October. The proposals are due tomorrow, so we'll get to work on that one, evaluating those proposals once we have them all in. And we don't have any update right now on the management and operating contract. He's still working to get that solicitation started. That's really about it since Thomas talked to you about a month ago, unless there's any questions for me on any particular topic.
Any questions from the board? I'm not seeing anything or hearing anything. I'll ask one.
A question from Jim Gill.
Oh,
As
go
far
for
as
it.
COVID is concerned, are there any particular personnel areas where you need to have a higher priority than what will probably be general guidelines coming out from the state?
I don't think there's anything we have to change right now. You know, that I guess that one of the key groups is folks who man our control rooms and our shift work to man those things, you know, especially the ones that are manned 24/7. But we've had protocols in place for them all along that keeps them separated from the general population on the site. You know, they have one entrance to the facility, and non-shift, non-control personnel go into the building via a different method, that kind of stuff. So we keep them separated. So we haven't had to do anything additional to safeguard them at this point. It's all been working out pretty well.
Any others, folks? Greg?
This is Greg. Yeah, thank you for the update, Mr. Budney. So, I mean, given all the COVID situation, I know that a lot of training is done out at the site. How far is that basically setting back preparation to bring on new employees and operations and those sorts of things?
They've worked through the stuff we have to do, bring on new employees, made some of the basic training you have to use to get access to the site web-based. So we haven't seen any real impact bringing on new employees. In fact, for the federal workforce, we've done better here during COVID than pre-COVID for hiring and bringing on the folks we need. There are, however, a lot of training, requalification, mandatory stuff you have to do. We were given authority to can't think of the right term, but basically not do it for a while. However, that translates into actual English. So we did get a pass on some of that stuff. It expires at some point in the future. They just renewed it, as a matter of fact, for some of the requirements. Yeah, not much impact yet, but we got to keep an eye on it because you're bringing out a bunch of new people, and it's tough to get them all the experience you want to get to make sure. Doing things in accordance to the way you do it, nuclear business, but worked out pretty well so far.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions for the board? All right. Quick and painless. That was great. Thank you. I don't know if anybody else saw it in the chat, but John Richards is actually at SRS today. He is doing some work out there and he's online, but not able to make any comments today. So we're just going to move straight into DHEC, and that'll be Susan Fulmer. And I believe she has some info that she wanted to screen share too. So this will be fun.
Hey everyone, it's good to see you guys again today. Hope you all had a safe and happy Thanksgiving. I do have some information I would like to share with you on my screen. So first of all, I don't have any new soil and groundwater updates today since we last met in October. But the information I wanted to share is related to COVID testing. DHEC recommends that you get tested once a month. You may need to be tested more frequently depending on your activity in the community and what's going on in your area. But for those of you interested in getting tested, I wanted to make sure that you were aware of all of the many testing sites that are available throughout the state. So I'm going to share my screen now. Let's see if this works. Okay. Give me just a moment here. Let's see. There we go. Let me know. Can you see it now? Okay. You should be able to see the DHEC website right now. And to get there, it's just scdhec.gov. And what you're going to do to find a testing site is click on the banner at the top of the page, find a testing location near you. Okay, and then this page will give you some more information about the different testing sites, but want you to then go to the find a COVID-19 testing location near you. And it's important to know that there are a lot of different types of testing sites, and that's why I wanted to show you what's available here. First of all, today it's pretty windy out. We're getting some maybe some rain. I'm not sure what's going on out there. I heard there's some power outages in my area. So just note up here, inclement weather today, some of the testing sites may be closed if you're trying to go out today. And just keep in mind that the testing sites are subject to change just because of things like inclement weather, or if they run out of testing, or if there's not enough personnel out there. So always check before you go out. But let's scroll down and take a look at what's available. So if you look at South Carolina, we've got a lot of testing sites throughout the state. And I'm going to scroll down just a little bit more and show you, you can filter it by what city you're in or different types of testing events. I'm going to just go down into the Aiken area since that's where most of us are. Actually, let me clear that and I'm going to show you, I'm just going to scroll in here. So we capture the Aiken and Augusta areas. Okay, so you'll see that there are about 4 locations right now that pop up, and not all of these are DHEC testing sites. Okay, they're just different COVID testing sites. So for instance, if I'm interested in this area here near Belvedere, that's a CVS Minute Clinic pharmacy location. So if you wanted to get tested there, that might be a good choice if you're not feeling well, if you've got a sore throat and a fever. That might be where you want to go, excuse me, because you could get a COVID test, or you could get a strep throat test or a flu test at a location like that. But of course, those are going to have costs associated with them. If you are looking for free testing, there's some other choices. Excuse me. And I'm going to scroll down here for a second and just filter out just the free testing sites so we can take a look at those. Okay, so 2 of them pop up in the Aiken and Augusta area here. So let's click on the North Augusta one. This one will show you the times and dates that are open for the next week. And then there's a link to pre-register to get tested. So no appointment is needed for this, no referrals needed. And I'm just going to show you what it looks like if you go to pre-register. So this is one of the DHEC testing sites. And you'll sign up here through the DHEC testing link. And this, if you go through here and you sign up and get pre-registered, when you show up, all you have to do is show them a QR code. They'll know who you are. They'll have your contact information so you can fill out and get your results submitted by email, or you can get them submitted to you through the mail. Of course, I think email will probably be faster for you. But what you'll do is you'll just pull up, they'll scan the code, they'll get you your testing stuff, you'll go to the next station, and you stay in your car, you don't have to get out at all, and then this is a nose swab site, so they'll swab both nostrils, and it's not the brain nose swab, it's about, middle of your nose, and then they'll send that off to the lab and let you know. It takes about 48 to 72 hours to get your results from one of those testing sites. So I'm going to go back. A different kind of testing site in the Aiken area is this other one here, and this is one that's available at the University of South Carolina Aiken Convocation Center. And so it's important to know what kind of testing site you're going to, because some of them are the nose swab sites and some of them are the saliva testing sites. So this one over by the USC Aiken is one of the saliva testing sites, and that's noted down here in the additional notes. So if you're going to go to one of those sites, one thing to note is that you should not eat, drink, or smoke for 30 minutes prior to testing so that they can get an accurate result. So keep that in mind. And to get signed up for one of those sites, just follow the link up here, and you'll notice it's a different registration process through this partner. But again, it's easy. We'll give you some information, and you just scroll down, and it will tell you where to click to register, and then to come back to see your results, just scroll down a little bit further and you'll log in. Okay. So I'm going to close that one. And then let's see here. Let me scroll out. Here's another type of testing site. This is a free one that's available at Self Regional Healthcare, Bettis Academy Park. And this is one that doesn't need an appointment, doesn't need a referral, and it doesn't have any kind of registration that you need to do pre-registration online. So there are some places you can just show up and get a test. Now, it looks like they're closed for the next week, so I'm not sure if they'll be open next week or not. Just be sure you check the testing hours before you show up somewhere. And then there's a couple other ones I want to show you real quick. I'm going to go over to the Columbia area. And this one right here is our DHEC office on Bull Street. This is another different type of testing. This is one of the mouth swabs at this location. And this is through the Go Get Tested site. So it's a different type of registration that you'll need to do to get tested at that site. And I just want to point all these out just because of the variability in the different types of testing that are out there, so that you don't think that you register for one and show up to a different site and realize that you've got to re-register for that site to make sure you know what you need to do. There are also other sites, like some of the hospitals offer testing at their locations, where you just drive up and get either a nose swab or a mouth swab. And some of those will come up as free testing, but they may ask you for insurance when you get there. So just be aware that if that's the case, they will file your insurance and it may not be free. So I would ask before you go, talk to your insurance, because some of those will be free unless you have insurance, and then it may charge you. So a friend of mine was telling me that he went to one of those sites the other day, and it was, when he asked, they said, oh, well, if insurance doesn't cover it, it's only $300. Well, he had a family full of people in his car. So $300 is, for one person's not too much, but when you're talking about, well, that's still a lot. But when you're talking, 3 or 4 people, that's a whole lot more than he was expecting. So he went down the street to one of the free ones. So there are a lot of just different testing locations available. We encourage you to be tested. Especially with the holidays and any travel you may have done, please be sure that you go, especially if you're not feeling well, but also if you are feeling well, it's important to get tested to make sure we can stop asymptomatic spread throughout the state. So with that, I will pause and ask if anybody has any questions on how to find testing locations, or if you have any other questions for me about DHEC.
So there was one question actually in the chat, and it's, does the recommendation to get tested once per month apply to persons who have contracted COVID-19?
Contracted COVID-19. If you have contracted COVID-19, you should continue through your quarantine period, okay? And then you can go back out in the community. The understanding that I have right now is that if you've contracted it, you probably won't contract it again, but I have heard some anecdotally, and not in South Carolina, but some other areas, that people have tested again positive for COVID. So I would say consult your physician if you should continue to do that, or if they think that you don't need to continue testing. But certainly there are plenty of opportunities to get tested for free. So I would say on the safe side, you could continue to get tested. Just note that you may continue to test positive for some time after you first contracted and then feel better.
2 more in the chat. And one of them is, do you have to be a resident of South Carolina to get tested at a SCDHEC facility or site?
That's a great question. I think that you can still show up, and I will actually double check with our DHEC folks who are running the DHEC sites and send you guys an update on that. But you can, when you've got to pre-register. So when you go through that, you'll have to enter in your information where you're located. So I think if it does not allow you to do that, it will flag you then and let you know that you can't. But I believe that you can still get tested regardless. So if you live over in Augusta, just drive over the river and get tested.
Okay. And then are there specific sites listed where you can go to get that offer rapid tests?
I don't think it notes on there specifically which ones are the rapid tests. Most of the locations are going to be about 48 to 72 hours before you get results. I'm not sure how quick CVS might be. I know that some of the pediatrician offices, if you've got children, they offer rapid tests, and those places will get you results in about 15 minutes. So depending on what your situation is, you might call ahead and ask them if you don't see it on the website when you go to register. But most of the places that you can get the free testing that you pre-register for, those are going to take probably up to 72 hours.
Oh, that's a great clarification for Mike Bundy. He was the one who asked about South Carolina residency. So in case you have an out-of-state visitor, say from the Northeast, can they get tested before they head home?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I will follow up on that for y'all. That was actually something I was thinking about last night when I was thinking about getting ready for this. I was wondering if you can drive over or if you can get tested out of site. I would say that we probably would not turn anybody away if they want to get tested for sure, but I will double check and let you guys know.
Okay. And then are these PCR testing or antibody tests?
Again, this is going to depend on the testing site. I believe that they will tell you if you follow the link to the various test sites, they will provide you a little bit more information about what type of test that they provide.
Okay.
So there may be both of those available on. If you look at the map, it just depends on which one you click, which site it will be.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, James, this is Dan. Susan, thank you for the info. Actually, I had the luxury of testing at both those sites in Aiken. The DHEC site was extremely smooth. The results were rather quick. The one that's being run by Rapid Reliable Testing was absolutely chaotic, terrible, and it took us almost a week to get results. So if that's important to anyone, let them know. And also the one thing that we get in contradictory information from DHEC is when you do test positive, they're not asking you to be retested in the email information that you're provided. They're saying basically time out and then resume. So just, I don't know if that is maybe not been updated or has been updated since we were tested, but we had the luxury of coming back from Texas with COVID. So we're hopefully done.
Well, I hope you're feeling better now.
Oh, we did not feel bad at all. I mean, it was like a mild cold.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, no big deal. But hopefully everybody, if they have it, has that same luxury. But the information is just a little contradictory online. So, I mean, it might be something you take back.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Oh, I did mean to ask, are you receiving any feedback on these sites? Because I didn't see anywhere that you could actually rate your experience or anything. But I would not actually recommend the Rapid Reliable after the experiences we've had.
I will check into that and see if there's a place that you can provide feedback on your experience. I'm not sure. I didn't notice that I have been to I've not been to one of those Rapid Reliable test sites, but I've gone to our DHEC testing sites at a couple of different locations, and I have not noticed a place to provide feedback. So I'll check and make that suggestion to the team. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Any others? All right. Thanks, Susan. On a somewhat related note, I'll let those of you who know or have or know people with small children that instead of going to visit COVID clause, you can actually book a virtual call or with Santa Claus for your kids. I did that this morning, and my daughter will be having a video conference with Santa in a couple days. So, definitely socially distanced in that regard. Up next, we are scheduled to have a break, but since we're running about 30 minutes fast, I don't think we really need to do that. I noticed that Gil was able to come in, and I was going to see if he had any opening remarks for us before we continued on down the agenda. Gil?
Hey, y'all. Sorry I was a little late. I'm technically challenged. My computer is old, and it always gets confused with Teams and WebEx, so I apologize. Thank you, Heather, for getting me squared away behind the scenes. I miss y'all. I miss seeing you guys. I miss, interacting. Some of my favorite times on the cab are, the times where we get together in between meetings during a break and getting to talk. I did enjoy the committee meetings recently. We had good participation in those. There's still a lot of work going on, as you can tell. As this meeting goes on, you're going to find out more and more about what's going on. James and Heather, and Delisa and Amy and that person I always talk about who will remain nameless in this meeting, have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. I mean, that they always do. Work that we don't maybe necessarily understand that's been going on. But there's still a lot of work going on. We are still CAB members. 2020 has been hard on all of us. At least I assume it's been hard on all of us. It's been hard on me. It's been hard on my family. But we still are CAB members, and we're still doing a lot of work. Greg has been doing a great job as vice chair. He's heading up some initiatives. He's doing a lot of things. I know it gets weary being on WebExes and Microsoft Team calls and, Zoom calls. And I hate to use the term the new normal, because what's a new normal? Everything's going to be normal eventually. But I'm really asking you, when we get these communications about coming to a virtual meeting, that we attend. I'm the same boat as some people are. I really don't like them. Right now I'm looking at the screen, and James is up big time on the screen. I'd much rather be looking across the room at James and seeing James in person. I see Amy, resting her head on her arm, their piece, whatever. I see Dan, I see Dave, I see Susan. I wish we were in a room together. I really do. But we have to do it this way. And I encourage you all to attend not only the meetings, but, not only the full board meetings, but the committee meetings. There's still work going on at the site. There's still a lot of excitement surrounding the site. There's a lot of change going on in our country right now. I don't think I need to go further into that, especially those that live in a Georgia television network viewing area. But being a CAB member still is important. We still get to enact a lot of recommendations. We still are engaged with the community. The information that they're pouring out of, Amy's pouring out of her office and things is really good. And we have a responsibility to serve in the positions that we agreed to serve in. So I just encourage everyone to keep attending these meetings. We're going into Christmas, we're going into the holidays. We're going to have a little bit of a lull here in January, February, but we'll be back in March. All things right now look as in March, we're still going to be virtual. Don't know what's going to happen beyond that, but, please pay attention to correspondence and come on, because even though I can't see you in person, and I know James doesn't have this beautiful park behind him that I'm seeing anyway, but I want to still see you. I still want to interact. I want to hear what you have to say. Hopefully y'all want to hear what everybody else has to say, and we can continue to be a board, and a strong board at that. So that's all I really have to say. I wish everyone, as we talk throughout the meeting, if I don't get a chance to say it, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and can you believe December's almost here? So back to you, James.
All right, thank you. So up next, we have the committee updates, where we'll go through each committee chair will have the opportunity to talk about what they did this past month and what's going on with them. So the first thing I want to do is turn to Narinder. I'm going to ask you to update everybody on FDSR and the ACER presentation. Narinder? We'll need you to unmute. There we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Narendra Malik with CAB. Last week, we had a presentation by Trissa Eddy on Acer. I think it was very well presented, liked it. There were a lot of questions, and she responded very nicely. And I think beyond that, we have only one open recommendation to be closed, which James will be taking care of that later on. And other than that, I have nothing to add. Thank you and wish you very happy holidays. Although we are a month ahead of that, but we may not see each other for that long time. But I think I hope everybody's safe. And even the big guy is safe too. Big guy, he's looking at wish you all very happy holidays and happy new year coming in 30 days. That's it, James.
All right. Any other comments that anybody wants to make about that Acer presentation? Seeing none, let's move on down the list. Let's go to nuclear materials, the 235F update. I don't suppose Charles was able to join us. He knew it would be iffy. No? Okay. Does anybody feel comfortable giving a brief rundown or talking a little bit about 235F, what you learned from those presentations?
James?
Yeah, go for it.
Not a lot that I can add here, but basically what I got out of the presentations was good progress continues to be made to turning that building cold and dark.
All right. Any other comments from the board? All right. Jim, let's continue on. Let's go to SRNL. Let's talk a little bit about the lab.
Okay. We had what I thought was a very, very good presentation from Tony Polk. And it gave us a good view of where the advanced manufacturing effort is going and what they hope to accomplish, along with the strategic view from the new M&O contract and what that will do to help the lab fulfill their mission in the future. So again, very useful, very helpful. And anybody who hasn't seen that should really take the time and listen to Tony. I thought he did a superb job. So that's pretty much the summary for the lab. I think we've been brought well up to date. And to everybody on the committee and the board, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, enjoy the holidays. It's as best you can.
Any other comments from the board about the national lab update that we received? All right, seeing none. Waste management is on the agenda. They did not have a presentation this month, and I don't see AK on the line to see if he has any other updates to give us. So we're going to press on. Bobby, do you have any comments regarding A&O?
Only comments I have is that the new board applicants are still at headquarters, and we just don't know the status of them right now. And we haven't done any outreach because of the virus. And that's all I have. James, do you have anything that you can add to that?
No, I can only empathize with that. People ask you over the holidays, what is it you do for a living? And I say, well, I'm involved in public outreach, the one thing you're not allowed to do right now. So it gets a little confusing talking about that. But we're going to try and develop some plans and work with Bobby fairly soon to see what we can do during this time and how we can broaden our outreach and get more folks into the fold.
James, I have one question. James,
Sure.
Normally we have chair's election in month of November. Are we going to do this year or what? What's the path?
Well, chair and vice chair actually operate on 2-year terms, and Greg is still working through his, and we extended terms this year, so Gil will be continuing on through that. So that is how that's going to operate. Now, as far as committee chairs, we plan to do that election in January.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns before we plow on through our agenda? I'm not going to stop for a break. I don't think that we need to today. Anything else before we move on? All right. The next up on our agenda is reading of public comments. And while I'm doing that, Heather, if you'll make sure that you have the recommendation responses that we're going to close ready to pull up. Don't do it quite yet, just when I call for them. I did receive one public comment from a former CAB member, Jenny Jones, who has been following along and paying attention to everything these past couple of months. She sent something in for this month and just want to read that aloud for you. She mentioned that the NEPA presentation listed on the email was excellent. I agree with Dan Kaminsky that the slide needs to remain on the slide longer, so that was part of that conversation. Please remember that the purpose of CAB is to present information to the public. Acronyms and presentations remain a problem. Simply adding an addendum or a prefix page listing the acronyms may not be enough. The problem is that when the speaker is presenting, she or he uses the acronym when she or he should use the full term. The public listener does not have time to find the definition and still fully listen to the speaker. Assuming that the CAB presentations are for the public needs to know what millrem and similar terms mean with some sort of reference to something commonplace the public can understand. I believe the banana has been used as a reference, or how much is used in a tooth x-ray. This needs to be in the slide as a footnote so that support can insert that when relevant to the presentation. The email announcing the full board is excellent. Someone should receive an award for this. Everything I need to prepare for the full board is in one place with one click to access the video. I've been going through each video, making notes, and then there was a question about CAB rules, and I'll respond to Jenny at that point in time. Heather, I love how you turned on your video to receive that praise about the notice email. So that was great. I love your smile for that. All right, so that's our public comments for the day. The next thing on our agenda is closing the recommendations. So the first one up is 366. Heather, can you pull up 366? The committee voted or spoke about this and then voted that we did need to close from the DOE response. As soon as it comes up, I'll give you a chance to take a look at it for just a moment.
James, this is Amy. We do need, I've seen that some of the CAB members have been dropping off. Some have been coming in, but we need to double check that we have people.
Let's do everybody take a look at this for a moment, the military training activities. Heather, can you scroll down just a little bit? Put that CAB recommendation kind of at the top. There we go. Yeah, we still have plenty of folks. We still meet quorum. We're good, Amy. All right, so this one came out of Strategic and Legacy Management. This is the one about military training that was passed last year. DVSR did partially accept this recommendation. For the most part, they just had one small little thing that they knew that they wouldn't be able to work on or needed some wiggle room on. Are there any questions or comments about this? Are we ready to make a motion to vote to close? Somebody would like to make a motion?
James, I move that we close recommendation 366.
All right,
I
Heather,
second it.
thanks, Dorinda.
I second it.
All right. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through the roll call again, and I'm going to ask everybody online to either give me a yay, nay, or abstain when I call your name. And we're just going to start at the top and go down, so I'll be doing this alphabetically. Gil, and then Julia.
We have a second on this, right, James?
Yes, Narinder seconded.
Narinder, okay, I missed that. Yeah.
Julia, and then Phyllis. We'll come back. Phyllis, and then Carlos.
James, this is Amy. Julia and Carlos are the two that I saw leave the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody, please unmute when you vote.
Yeah.
Julia lost internet. She just called me.
Okay.
She was trying to call in.
All right.
This
Phyllis,
is Phyllis. I'm a yes.
Okay, great. DeAndre. If you want to drop it in the chat, you can too. No. All right.
James, do you have the ability to unmute everybody?
I can, but if we unmute everybody, it'll get.
Well, I just wonder if that's the issue.
Yeah. All right. We'll come back. Jim Gill.
Okay.
And Dan, and then Narinder.
Yay.
Narinder, and then Jerry.
No, yeah.
Jerry, and then Greg. Greg.
Yay. Yay.
Ken, and then Dave.
Dave is yes.
Thanks, Dave. Ken Sejuan. Bobby.
Bobby, yay.
1, 2, 3. Oh, so that's only 9 people voting, and that's no
There's a
more.
message from DeAndre that says, DeAndre, vote yay.
Great. That gets us to 10.
Hmm.
And we still need 2 more people. So, folks, if CAB members, if you're online and you have not given your vote audibly, or you've heard me acknowledge it, please unmute now and let me know. We'll read through these again. Julia had some issues. Carlos. That was one. Julia dropped out. All right.
I'm trying to get a hold of Carlos right now.
All right. Heather, will you drop this? Or stop sharing, I should say. Thank you. All right. So at the moment, this is not going to pass unless we have 2 more votes, one direction or
2
another.
more. Okay.
We'll give it a minute. But if we don't get that, I don't see any reason in continuing with the other 2 votes and recording a lack of quorum. Amy,
Jackie?
please let me know if.
Did you get Carl Steen? I can see him and it looks like he's trying to speak, but it's
Okay,
not.
Carl, you need to unmute Carl.
Carl's having problems during a committee meeting, remember? So
You
maybe
gotta
it's computer.
Yeah, is that microphone icon is still red? You need to click it.
Can you let Carl do a thumbs up or thumbs down?
You want to do that, Carl? Do you want to give me a thumbs up for a yay? Up, get back. Make sure the thumb is. If you do it close to your face, I can see the thumb. Bring it back here instead of up at the camera. Okay.
Is that good?
Also, Dr. Sejuan is on.
Ken, can you unmute?
Just do a thumbs up.
This is Carl. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, when you unmute, we can hear you.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, that's 12.
Dave, thumbs up.
All right, so let's go next to 367. Heather, can you put that one up for us? And we'll get a motion in a second on it as well. All right. So this is the stakeholder awareness study. This is the one that asked. Carl, I'm going to mute you while you're not speaking, okay? This is the recommendation that asked DOE to do basically a a study on how well stakeholder information is working. How do people find out about the CAB? They did agree to this recommendation, have accepted it. And while the study has not been done yet, the committee felt like the acceptance was a good place to go ahead and close this recommendation. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns about this recommendation before we ask for a motion to vote? Hearing none. Do we have a motion?
This is Dave Vavakis. Quick question. Was Greg Murray in agreement with the discussion that you all had subsequent to as to how you would approach this in the future?
Let's ask him. Greg, what do you think?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Dave. Yeah, this is Greg Murray. Yeah, they had further discussion about it. It looks like there's going to be some sort of discussion with Amy and some of her folks and the other people involved in terms of probably first coming up with an idea of the scope and the questions, sort of the topics that they're wanting answers to beyond just sort of the general outreach questions, and then kind of take it from there, because once you determine the scope and topics, then you get a better idea of the parameters that you need. You know, how many people do you need to do, where are you going to do it, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think they're on a good path for doing this, in my opinion.
Okay. Anything else? Questions, comments, concerns? Do we have a motion to close 367?
Hey, James, this is Narendra. I recommend to close it.
All right. Is there a second for the motion?
Second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. I will be reading off your names again, folks. Please make sure that you unmute, give us your vote, and then we'll move on. We're going to start with Gil.
In the name of Verizon, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. We'll do Phyllis and then DeAndre.
Yes.
DeAndre and then Jim. I'll come back to DeAndre, or keep an eye on the chat. Jim.
Yeah.
All right. Dan and then Narinder.
Yes.
Narinder and then Jerry.
Narendra, yes.
Jerry and then
yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Ken. I can't see him if he's doing a thumbs up. If you can put that into the chat for me, Ken, I've got a record of it. Let's see that DeAndre has voted yes. Carl.
Yes.
Dave and then Bobby.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I think I heard both of you at the same time say yes.
Dave is yes.
All right. Thanks, folks. And then Ken, can we get a vote from you? Yay, nay, abstain. Can I get you to give a thumbs up or thumbs down? There, I can almost see it. There we go. Okay.
Julia was
Passes.
trying to vote, but she was having audio issues.
Oh, well, we can always, folks, you can always type it into the chat box if you're having an issue of not being heard. So please feel free to put it in there and let us know how you're wanting to vote. All right. Hey, folks, with that, let's move on to, that passed. So we're good there. And now let's look at 368. This is the support for Savannah River Ecology Laboratory. This was another one where DOE partially accepted the recommendations. Are there any questions, comments, concerns about 368 and what the committee was thinking?
Did the writer agree with resigning this one?
I think this was the one that was written by Tom French, and he has since resigned since the committee talked about it. He left us over the summer, so I don't know. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Do we have a motion to close?
I say close.
Thank you, Narendra. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Let's go down the list. I'm going to call your name and I ask you to vote yay, nay, or abstain. I want to ask Gil and then Phyllis. Gil, start it off.
Yeah.
Phyllis?
Yay.
Julia, I see you're back on. It looks like you're muted though. Maybe type it into the chat for us.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can, yes.
Okay, then yes to all of the votes. I could hear everything, but I couldn't see anything. So there was something wrong somewhere. Anyway, yes to everything
All right.
so far.
DeAndre and then Jim. I see DeAndre's vote is a yay. Jim and then Dan.
Yay.
Dan and then Narendra.
Yay.
Narendra.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Kim. Okay, giving me a thumbs up again. Carl and then Dave.
Carl, yes.
All right, Dave and then Bobby.
Dave, yes.
Bobby?
Bobby, yes.
All right, folks, that one also passes. Very good, very good. I love to see it. All right. That concludes our voting for the day, and actually that's the end of our agenda. Are there any questions, comments, concerns that we need to talk about?
Hey, James, this is Susan.
Hey, Susan.
I just wanted to circle back on one of the questions that was asked. The question about if you're out of state, can you get tested at a DHEC site? The answer is yes, you can. And your results will be provided back to your home state for data collection purposes. So if you live in Georgia, the results will be reported for Georgia's COVID numbers.
That's awesome that not only you'll do it, but you'll help the other states update their numbers. I love that. That's great. Any other questions, comments? So I have something before we go. I want to let you know that we are working on the 2021 schedule. We plan on sending that out fairly soon, along with some helpful tips on attending online meetings to hopefully make our experience better for everyone. Because I'm going to be honest, that schedule that's coming out, it's looking like those first couple of meetings that we're doing are going to be virtual. We're probably going to be virtual for the first part of next year at the very least. For the remainder of the year, we'll play it by ear and kind of see how the rest is going to go. But that means that definitely in January, that meeting will be virtual, as well as upcoming A&O meetings and exec meetings and the work plan meeting. Those will all be virtual experiences for those participants. Want to get that on your radar so that you know it's coming, and we'll make sure that you have the opportunity to block out those dates as soon as we've nailed them all down. Any questions about anything, comments before we go? Gil, do you have any parting words before we end for the day?
I don't. That's a lie. I do. The amount of work that has been done by the staff has been a lot more. So I really want to thank Amy and Delisa and James and Heather and Frederica. Oh, I screwed up. I wasn't supposed to say that. But y'all, for the board, Greg and I know it. But for the board as a whole, the stuff that they've had to work through, working from home, working at the site occasionally, has been wonderful. The communication has been wonderful. And I just thank you guys, because really it would have been it'd been very easy for everyone just to throw their hands up in the air and say, well, you know what, the CAB we'll just hit pause. And the support staff has not done that. They have not done that in the slightest. Our support staff, to go let you know how good they are, So when James spoke earlier about the all chairs meeting where we all get gathered together, our site and the technical ability that our team has, they run everything for the nation, for all the environmental management site-specific advisory boards. They run it all. So we have the A team. I know we get into some competition with some other sites, but when it comes to our team and the team that's working for us, behind us, pushing us, doing everything, we have the number one team. So, James is humble, Heather's humble, Frederic is humble, Delise is humble, Amy not so much. But y'all, we have a great team. And Mike Budney heading everything up all the way. I really want you guys to feel that from at least me. And I know I don't think I have to ask Greg for permission, but I think Greg would say the same thing. And Greg, jump in if you like. But I want the board to know how valuable y'all really are, because the board in its entirety doesn't get to see what Greg and I get to see. And so I just want to share that with the entire board. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate you.
Well, and this is Greg. If you're going to give me a chance to talk, what the heck? I'll jump in too. I want to second what Gil said. The support we're getting is fantastic. Our folks are the A team in terms of providing the technical support, complex wide in terms of cabs. And the other thing from our perspective, and I've seen this with students, we will get better at the technology side. So, I know it's frustrating initially, but I've watched it with students, and people get the hang of it. And we will get it, and hopefully we won't have to be doing this much longer. But don't get frustrated and don't give up, because we'll all get better as individual CAB members doing the maneuvering the technology, for lack of a better term. So just hang in there. We appreciate everything that all the CAB members do, all the staff folks do, all the DOE folks, and the contractors. We just appreciate everything that everybody does, and hang in there. This will get better.
I just want to do that when James and the team of folks that work in my office, when they offer to help you guys, they really mean it. And I don't want you to be, if you have trouble and you're having problems with your internet, maybe you live out in the country, whatever it is, they're willing to, we've even reserved the DOE meeting center and brought some folks down there to help. We want to do anything we can. Public involvement is important. We need your input, and we want your input, and we don't want you to not participate because maybe there's an issue with the internet or some other issue. And if you can't get it to work, there's no shame in asking for help. And our folks are really, really interested in helping and getting as much participation as we can. So I appreciate that, Gil and Greg, and I second that. I think I'm not humble when it comes to my team, because I do think we got a really good group of people. So thanks, y'all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Any other comments, concerns before we adjourn for the day? All right. Thank you.